Hello and welcome back. My name is Jessica Johnson from Western Michigan, and I thank you for coming to my channel, Vibe Talks. In this video, we're going to be talking about synchronicity. What is synchronicity? Who came up with it? And is it a way for the universe to communicate with us? So I'm going to answer all these questions and more, so just stay tuned and expand your mind. I guess the question is, what is synchronicity? Well, according to Wikipedia and many other websites, the definition to what synchronicity is that it's a concept that was first introduced by an analytical psychologist in Germany by the name of Carl Jung, which holds that events are meaningful coincidences, and if they occur with no causal relationship, yet seem to be meaningfully related. You see, Carl Jung was the creator of synchronicity, where his original version of synchronicity had brought in and out the presence of recurrent images and ideas, archetypes, tying us together to another dimension where dreams come true, timely meanings change your life, and omens accurately predict the future, and phenomenal signs are deeply significant to our personal experience. Dr. Jung didn't define the new principle because he was any type of mystic, but because after years of working with patients and bearing witness to events in his own life, it became clear that there appeared to be a mysterious underlying kind of field affecting a whole different level of experience. You see, even though he first coined the idea of synchronicity in the late 1920s, it really wasn't until 1952 that he committed his concept as well as his data within this first half of his book called The Interpretation of Nature and the Psyche. Now, synchronicity is considered a pseudoscience, which means that it's considered neither testable nor falsifiable. In other words, they don't really know what it is and can't disprove it, so they have to make it a whole nother category in itself and call it pseudoscience. You see, in 1952, the same time that Dr. Carl Jung had committed to his concept in synchronicity, it was at that time that the world was starting to learn about quantum theory and the concept of the quantum field, from which all matter arises. So when Dr. Jung had committed his concept, it couldn't have been a better time than in 1952. Dr. Jung's observations were based on the rejection of coincidental, one-dimensional life, and instead the recognition that we all engage in the world in a very complex way, through our psyche, our energies, our emotions, our actions, and experience, which makes it less of a series of coincidences and instead a far more interactive experience, where life becomes a unified co-creation that is answering your questions. Life is reflecting that to you and what it is that you need to know. Dr. Jung had also based the synchronistic model on three characteristics of spiritual potential. The first one being meaningful coincidences, which means that random events happen sometimes with very specific personal meaning. The second is causal connection, which means that despite no apparent material cause and effect, there is a undeniably profound personal significance, and so an apparently intentional connection is at play. The third one being luminosity, which is an indication that all of this happens within a kind of shared field of divinity and communion with a greater whole. So across most life experiences, these three aspects actually do work to describe something that happens in everyone's life, even though no one really knows exactly how. So why is synchronicity dismissed by skeptics or among scientific materialists? Well, it's because they see that consciousness as an individually brain-generated phenomenon that is generated independently by every conscious living thing. They believe that we are not all connected. They don't believe that we live in a shared field that's accessed by every living thing through our natural sensory capabilities. which makes it easier for them to discount any type of theory within the quantum physics that tell us that we are all consciously connected. So allow me to ask you this. Have you ever been thinking about someone and then randomly bumped into them or received a call from them? Or better yet, have you ever thought about going somewhere or doing something and then had it fall into place a little too easily? Or have you thought about buying a car, a specific make and model, and then all of a sudden you see it everywhere you go? Now, these may be general questions, and perhaps it happens to you or not. So stay engaged, because we are about to dive even deeper. Many believe, myself included, that synchronicity is the universe's way of saying that you're on the right track, or questions that you wondered about was certainly answered. Synchronicity is also about signs that you are connected to to the potential of the universe and are vibrating at a higher frequency. So let's start with some ways that the universe can communicate with you. The first one being about animals. Now, if you're a person who is connected to your environment, you may notice the presence of a particular animal in your life as a messenger, especially if it's one that you don't normally have cross your path. When it comes to animals, the symbolism and the message can really change depending on the individual connection or feeling toward that animal. And sometimes, if you look up the meaning of that animal, it could have a message in why it even showed up in the first place. So what about illness? Your physical body can provide so many messages about your emotional, mental, and spiritual health. What we all know that illnesses usually occur when our immunity is down, and I'm not talking about that. But it could be that our body is trying to communicate something deeper to us. For example, have you ever felt drained or tired around certain individuals? Perhaps the universe is trying to tell you, or to even point out, that that person is a negative influence or challenging you in some sort of way. So what about ringing in your ears? Have you ever heard that high-pitched ringing in your ears? Ruling out any type of medical conditions, a high-pitched ringing in the ears is commonly associated with messages from the divine universe. This is usually a sign that a spirit or an angel is around and wants to communicate a message to you. So pay attention to your thoughts, words, or feelings while the ringing is occurring to see if you can tune in to that very message that is being delivered to you. So what about dreams? This is another powerful way that the universe can communicate with us through our dreams. The interpretation of dreams is usually very symbolic in nature and very unique in nature to the individual. But try to focus more on how the dreams made you feel to determine what that message might be. Dreams can also be, telling us of the future and indicate events yet to come in your life. It's good to keep a dream journal and to discover more about the messages in your dream and look up the meanings of what specific things in your dreams to tell you what it's trying to tell you, what the message is really about. So what about those out of the ordinary experiences? You see, sometimes an event comes along and that it seems to turn our whole world upside down. Radical events, especially life-changing ones, are definitely the universe's way of saying that something needs to change or shift. And while it may seem chaotic around you, try to tune into the bigger picture and stay present in the moment of your experiences. Chances are, at the end of the tunnel, you will see the light and everything will come together perfectly for you. So what about random encounters? Have you ever randomly bumped into someone that seemed to have offered some insightful advice? Or have you ever wondered about something and then randomly stumbled upon the answer? Random encounters happen all the time. And the more you stay open, the more you're going to stay in tune with it. And the more that you're going to see and experience. I definitely believe that the divine sends us all sorts of people to help challenge and guide us to our path and where we need to be. So what about repeated numbers such as 111, 222, 333, 555, and so on and so forth? Have you ever looked at your clock and seen numbers like it's 11:11 or 2:22 or 3:33? Or are you noticing any type of particular number patterns that everywhere you go? This is often a sign from the divine that there is a special message for you. So look up those numbers, because each one has a definition of what it's trying to tell you. So whether one believes it or not, there are many personal experiences that point to synchronicity being more than just coincidence. Thank you guys so much for watching my video on synchronicity, and I hope you guys had learned a lot. So just remember, if you want to be notified for any even more great, fantastic videos, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button on the bottom. And if you want to follow me on Facebook, my Facebook profile will be in the description of this video. You guys have a great day, and remember, stay blessed.